You guys have seen in the videos, the explanation of correlation and causation can be tricky, all right? But it's really common sense, kind of, okay? Let's really think about the two variables they give you and really think if it's correlation or causation, or maybe it has both, okay? Remember, correlation is a relationship between two or more things, so more than one variable, but it's just the pattern it creates. The causation is when the change of one value would affect the other value. So the word itself, causation, gives you the definition. Remember, causation, causes. Okay. And I'm going to give you a short example here, okay, between having hours of study and your grades. Let's say that this is a positive correlation. That means that if I graph these two, it will be a positive correlation of the pattern will be a positive correlation. That means that as the hours increase, the grades increase. Okay, that's just the pattern. Now let's think about the causation. Well, if you study more hours, it makes sense that you might have better grades than when you do not study. Okay, that's why we tell you all the time, study before a test, study before a quiz. Because technically, if you are studying, you should be getting good grades. So yes, the relationship between these two is actually going to be a correlation and causation. If you don't study, you get bad grades. It's common sense, right? What about an example of our study and how sunny it's outside? Let's say again, this is a positive correlation. Okay, again, it's a positive correlation. The pattern between the hour study, so the hours increase, and the weather, the sun weather, increases. Okay, it has a positive correlation. Now the question is it going to be causation? Well, let's think about it. Because you study more, does that affect the weather outside? That is false. Sometimes when you're studying, it's snowing outside, right? Sometimes it's raining. Sometimes it's cloudy. So the hours that you studied has nothing to do with the weather, has no effect. So that will be no causation, even though it said that had a positive correlation. That was just a pattern, okay? I usually tell my students to think correlation as the math process of it. Something that you can prove with numbers. Okay. And causation, I tell my students to think of it as real life. Okay. Again, hours of study can go up. Okay. But the weather has nothing to do with how many hours you study. Okay. So keep that in mind. All right, let's get started with question number 1. Okay, distinguish between correlation and causation. That's our objective for this target D. So it says, researchers have found that the number of swimming pools and the number of marriages in the United States are strongly correlated, and both have been increasing over the last several decades. Okay, first of all, what are two things that we're talking? What are my two variables? Okay, the number of swimming pools and the number of marriages. They told you is strongly correlated, and it's been increasing. That means that we have a positive correlation. Okay, I'm just going to write it here. All right, our question is, can you conclude that the increasing number of swimming pools is causing the number of marriages? Okay, just because it has a positive correlation doesn't mean it has to be a causation. Remember, the number of swimming pools and the number of marriages. Okay, just because people have swimming pools doesn't mean that the number of marriages are going to increase. They have no causation between each other. Okay, what if people don't have swimming pools? Does that mean that there's not going to be no marriages? Okay, so for this one is A. The answer for this is no. There is no causation between swimming pools and marriages. Okay, what I'm looking for, and let me explain it here. Let me give myself a space. What I'm looking for your answers is the word causation, okay, or causing. So no, there is no causation between swimming pools and marriages because here's what I'm looking on. Swimming pools does not affect the set or cause or affect more marriages to increase. All right, and here's the keyword I'm looking for again, your explanation. What is your explanation? Because swimming pools do not cause or affect more marriages to increase. Okay, if the problem was a causation, then you will say because swimming pools cause more marriages to increase. But because this is not the case, we're putting that it does not cause or affect more marriages to increase. So yes, the answer is no, but you also have to explain why. Okay, so don't forget that I'm looking specifically for that explanation.